Hello everyone, how's it going? So before we get into the core of the story, let's have some backstory. So AI is like the new gold rush when it comes to corporations. They've been trying to infuse AI into everything, telling us how this is going to be the betterment for humanity. This is an incredible thing, but all it's done is increase the price of everything. It's increased the price of food, water, electricity, insurance, you name it. It's been increased because of these RAM shortages, which has made PC ownership become more and more less attainable because it's just completely absurd to even afford the most baseline of stuffs. And gaming has been hit particularly hard when it comes to this. You can see here from this very helpful graph, original Xbox $300, 4.5 years later it went to $150. Xbox 360 $300 to $200 after 4.5 years. Xbox One $500. Granted, this was with the Kinect 2.0, but then 4.5 years, $200. Xbox Series X $500 to $600, Series S $300 to $380. Now, yeah, like as time goes on, they find ways to better manufacture these consoles, make them more efficient, and you can see this actually in real time with controllers. I guarantee you the controllers that launch with the system are better quality, better durability, everything you can imagine. In fact, my PS3 controller that I got with the launch PlayStation 3 still works to this day, and that's insanity considering how bad drifting has become with more elaborate controllers and more modern day controllers. But regardless, they tend to make them much more efficient, a lot easier to manage. The Xbox 360 kind of in the middle because as time went on, the disk drive started to fail a lot more easily, but they did fix the red ring of death. Regardless, like consoles would go down in price and you would have very affordable options. I remember back in the day, GameCubes were $50 a pop. Granted, they were just trying to sell these consoles and get you into their house, but you get what I'm saying. This is the first time in history that we've seen console prices actually go in the reverse, where they increased the prices for consoles. This was Xbox, where they increased the prices, as you can see here, $400, all this, the most expensive model being $800, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Even with the current landscape of PC gaming, you can get a decent PC for $1,000 that can run all Xbox games, which are on PC right now. And then they also increased the price of Game Pass to $30, which was also obtusely ridiculous. And then they ran that this is an Xbox campaign, which was also just like, I don't know what they were thinking. And then Sony shortly followed suit on August 20th, 2025. So this is not even a year ago, where they increased the prices of PlayStation 5, $550 for the baseline, $500 for the digital only edition, and $750 for the PlayStation Pro. And then Switch also increased their prices. Switch 1, not Switch 2, to, you can see here, it went to $400 for the OLED model. Standard was $300, then it went to $340. It's just like absolutely ridiculous, and they held off on announcing the Switch 2 prices until they got comfortable with what was going on in the current economic landscape. You could say that for what it is, but it's just corporate greed at this point as far as I can tell. But yeah, this system still sold very well, and we're probably going to see a price increase of this because Sony has announced a brand new price increase not even a year ago to combat economic pressures. So you can see here, we continued pressures in the global economic landscape. We made the decision to increase the prices of PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro, and PlayStation Portal remote player globally. We know that the price changes impact our community, and after careful evaluation, we found this was necessary step to ensure we can continue delivering innovative, high-quality gaming experience to players worldwide. Now, this is, like I said, completely unheard of. We've seen multiple times of price increases. The consoles are supposed to get cheaper, and they're getting more expensive because of all this AI BS. Like all this AI stuff does is literally just give you an advanced chatbot, and over 50% of the time it's wrong about the stuff that they even stated, that they scrub websites off because they only choose the most popular websites. They don't fact check anything because you need humans to do that. Look, AI is going to get better, but in this case, like, we're just seeing all the bad stuff that happens with it. Like, gaming used to be such an affordable hobby. You can buy, I just remember when I was such a kid that literally gaming was one of the most affordable options when it came to entertainment. And now look at this, like a PlayStation 5 is going to be $650. The digital edition is going to be $600. The Pro is going to be $900. Oh my God. It's just like, This is absurdery. And you know what's worse about all of this? It confirms that the PlayStation 6 is likely going to be $1,000 minimum. We're looking at $1,000 for the next PlayStation console because remember, prices go up. They never go down. So this is going to be the new standard for a PlayStation 5 console. And the PlayStation 6, my estimate is going to be about $1,100. The controllers are probably going to be $100 because they're stating like the next controller is going to be like completely touchpad related, which means a lot more broken parts, a lot more drifting issues. Like, the more they add to these consoles, the more problems they seem to have. And when it comes to this, I don't know who's going to afford this. Like, games are going to probably be $100. They're experimenting with dynamic pricing, for the love of God. We've seen, I don't know if any of you've seen it, but I've seen so many images of people showcasing how their games are being priced differently based on your track record of buying games. So if you're a loyal PlayStation customer, they're not going to give you the heavily discounted price. They're going to give that to someone who barely buys games to encourage them to buy more digital games, which is just like, yeah, you can see here with Stellar Blade. See, like, I feel like this should be illegal. Like, this has to be illegal. Like, just giving people different prices based on their track record when it comes to their consumer data. I feel like this should not be legal in any regard, but it's happening right now with everything that's transpiring within the world when it comes to AI, and it seems like no one is keeping up when it comes to consumer protection laws. And you can see here people on the comment section, yeah, this is exactly right, corporate greed. You can finance your PS5 with Klarna and you can make the minimum payments. That's right, Dave. Kevin Butler meme, this is an old one from the PlayStation 3 days, now $300. Oh my god. Yeah, it's just like, at this point, I think what they're going to do, they already have a rent-in PlayStation service. In fact, let me look that up. I should have probably brought that up. I was guaranteed this is what they're trying to implement. A rent-in system where, hey, you can't afford the $1,000 system? Well, you can rent it for €11 a month. Like, they're definitely gonna raise the price of this once people just can't afford the console anymore. And then if anything happens to that console, you're responsible for it. So if it breaks or something happens because of manufacturing error, well, guess what? Now you're responsible for it. Let's face it, consumer protection laws are at an all-time low right now, especially in the US. And on top of it, like, if you bought a game like Astrobot, well, guess what? If you have to return the console for any means, like you can't afford it anymore, well, that's now a paperweight. You can't play the game that you purchased for because you need to keep renting the console that you can't afford. This is going to be the future. You will own nothing and be happy, and only the most affluent, very well-off person can afford these consoles, because I've seen people say, like, I'm just quitting gaming, or I'm just going to go back to retro gaming, which is also becoming increasingly more expensive because having access to those systems is also very rare. Regardless, it does seem that the next PlayStation console is going to be around $1,000, $1,200, around that range. Games are going to be around $100, all this stuff, and it's all because of poor management and corporate greed. Let's face it, like, they have poorly run studios. PlayStation has a notorious history of just like buying studios. Same thing for Xbox, buying studios, closing them. There's little morale there. You can make a hugely successful game like Battlefield 6 and still be hit with layoffs, still get your pink slip. It's just extremely just poor management who buy these studios. They can't run them. They have bloated development schedules with too many people across the world trying to communicate with one another, trying to manage these incredibly large projects, trying to create them into the next Fortnite, which also is facing a downhill spiral because they just laid off 1,000 people at Epic Games. Like, it's just like, who is running these companies? They're greenlit in projects like Concord and like Marathon, which, look, I've sunk 100 hours into Marathon, but that's a $3.5 billion acquisition, and your game can't even crack 100,000 players. There's something bad happening there. There's just all these bad decisions happening, and the customers are suffering, the people who make the games are suffering, and we're leading to a system where it's just like we're going to push out whatever we can in order to make a quick buck because we failed as a company, and this is it's our responsibility to bail you out because, you know, just increase the price and things might work out. At this point, I don't know, like, how is anyone supposed to afford this? Like, right now, I take really, really, really good care of my stuff. I clean my consoles, I make sure they're properly working, I make sure everything works correctly. But for the average Joe, Like, if something happens, because like I said, a lot of these most elaborate consoles, like, it's not even consoles, any device that has all these, like, these huge amount of features that no one asked for are more prone to breaking. Like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier in the video, my PlayStation 3 controller, the thing I got when I bought my PlayStation 3 the first time, still works to this day. No, it's never been repaired, still works perfectly. Same thing for my original Xbox 360 controllers. All of them still work. So all this stuff that people ask for that makes the consoles more prone to failure, price increases, all this stuff, eventually people are just going to say, I'm done. I can't afford this. I'm going to take my money elsewhere, or I'm going to buy something else, which is probably their plan as well, because right now Xbox is experimenting with a ad-based streaming option for people. So there's that. So I really think that they're just doing this to try and funnel people into the service industries, because they really don't want you to own your stuff. Because the second you go into those services, the chances of you coming out are next to none, because you've already put so much money into that stuff that you just can't afford to buy it outright. Like, I've seen this with Xbox Game Pass. Like, a lot of people are still paying $30 because they've already bought DLC for games that are only available on Game Pass. So if they bought them through Game Pass, guess what? They have to keep Game Pass if they want to keep the game. It's just like, hey, we're going to create a problem, and then we're going to solve it with our own solution that's just going to put you deeper into debt and just make you completely dependent on our services. This is a great time to be alive and a great time to be a gamer, guys. Either way, tell me what you think in the comments below about all of this, because I think that this is probably going to be the end when it comes to affordable gaming, and this is the next step. So that's it from me. Sorry for the bad news, and yeah, bye.